why we do what we do. Let's walk through a Sunday morning. Why do we meet on Sunday morning? Lots of churches have convenient times to meet, so you can watch football all day on Sunday. Why don't we have a Saturday night church?
The Old Testament established the seventh day of the week, which is Saturday, to commemorate that God rested, and then that was the Sabbath. After the resurrection, Jesus rose on the first day of the week. That's our Sunday. And from that time on in the New Testament, the church met on the first day of the week to commemorate the resurrection of Christ. And you never find them meeting any other time. And throughout the rest of the New Testament, the first day of the week, first day of the week. Even after the resurrection, Jesus appeared to them, you remember, on that first day. And that established that day. And it became known as the Lord's Day. And you find in Revelation chapter 1, John says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's Day. And it actually got that name, the Lord's Day. Through the history of the church, the idea of resting shifted from the old Sabbath to the Lord's Day. I'm not a Sabbatarian. Right. I don't believe we're mandated to keep the Lord's Day as some kind of don't work day as it was in the old covenant.
You work pretty hard on Sundays.
Well, yeah, but it isn't even that. It's don't let anybody hold you to a Sabbath, Colossians 2. Don't let anybody hold you to a new moon. All those are shadows. The substance has come. Christ has come. He is our rest. We've entered into rest, Hebrews 4, Hebrews 5. So we don't have to keep the Sabbath as such. And then have prescriptions about not walking and not working and all of that kind of thing. But it is the Lord's Day, and it became known as the Lord's Day. And from the beginning in my life, as I began to think about ministry, I wanted it to be the Lord's Day. And that's why it was so important throughout the history of the church that the church met Sunday morning and Sunday night, so that they literally bracketed that day with worship. That literally defined that day. The worst possible scenario for me would be to have an hour-long service in the morning and that was it, so that everybody could bail out of church an hour after they walked in the door and go do whatever they wanted the rest of the day. That doesn't really grasp the essence of what it is to set aside a day that is devoted to the Lord. And that's why from the very outset to this very hour, we have a Sunday morning and a Sunday evening to train people, to bring them up that this is the Lord's Day. It isn't the Lord's hour, it's the Lord's day. And I've been very resistant to, say, tacking on a Saturday night service to accommodate people who don't want to acknowledge the Lord's Day. I don't necessarily want to accommodate that. I'm grateful to be in that long line of faithful men who have upheld the Lord's Day for the life of the church. And that's a very important thing to me. So this is the day the church has met since the resurrection, and that's why we meet on the Lord's Day. And, we've been accommodated in that by our culture for many years. I remember when nothing was open. I remember at Grace Church when nothing was open on Sunday. I'm talking here, this church, down the street, stores, nothing was open. Everything shut down. There weren't any games going on for kids and families and activities. And that, of course, all changed. And now Sunday's virtually like Saturday. There's basically no difference. And so the church has had to fight to keep that. Or you could just cave in and say, okay, you can schlep in on Saturday night, get your hour service over, and then you can have all day Sunday to do what you want. But I'm doing everything I can for the sake of our church and for the sake of the church to say we desperately need in this world a day given to the Lord to sit under His Word, to worship with His people, to learn to love each other, to serve each other, pray together, to sing together. This is a world that is very difficult. We need all of this so we can get.
It's a compelling reason, I think.